Thank you, and thank you for staying before lunch with me. I must say, coming from cardiovascular community, it's a pleasure looking at you and seeing how tight and how you interact with each other. So it made my trip from Sweden worthwhile. And I would like to show you what we try to do in Annexin Pharmaceuticals. It's difficult, for me not being an ophthalmologist, trying to tell you I have something which you might find useful. But I really want you to bear with me for a while and tell you about the science which fascinates us for the past 20 years. And Annexin Pharmaceuticals is a clinical stage, tiny biotech company, not the companies which you usually see in the US. It's a company which has been founded by physicians, by immunologists, cardiovascular doctors. I was one of the founders. And at the moment, we are based in Stockholm, in Sweden. We are publicly traded in Stockholm. And the science comes from two very major institutions of significance for ophthalmology, from Karolinska Institute, where I come from, and from INSERM in France. And what we do is we try to advance the development of a new biologic, new recombinantly produced human protein, Annexin A5. Some of you have heard of Annexin A5, and you will hear more about it because this agent, this particular molecule, will come into ophthalmology field one way or another. So what we do is we have this drug, and it is, if it comes to fruition, it will be a first-in-class biologic. It has a broad potential throughout different therapeutic indications. What is important in terms of development, we know how to produce this. It is a real nightmare in terms of investment time, know-how, of producing a commercial protein, real biologic. We know how to do it. And we also have a number of the key patents recently approved in major territories, which also took a very long time. And I'm also happy to say that we've completed almost 1 year of a phase 1 clinical trial, very advanced clinical trial in phase 1, because we're looking into not only normal safety and tolerability signals, but also we're trying to determine immunogenicity of our molecule. This is of major importance. And so far, we haven't seen any high immunogenicity, increased immunogenicity profile in it. And it started as a cardiovascular asset. I will tell you more about this. And it's somehow not surprising that in ophthalmology, the first indication we're looking into is retinal vein occlusion. We think we have something which is disruptive, not only in terms of how we want to deliver it to patients. We also think it is disruptive in a way that we're looking, as some of you also have heard, beyond anti-VEGFs. I think it's time. It's time to look into something else which we can offer the patients. And not only, so as I said, the first in class, but also we have a vision to be able to offer it to patients as first in line therapeutic prior to anti-VEGF actually making any sense in this patient. And we think we have all the rationale for that, at least theoretical and scientific. But as we speak, we have an ongoing phase 2 clinical trial here in the US. And it's an FDA, obviously approved. We've discussed our vision, our data with agencies in the US, in Europe, in the UK. And if you would like to see if there are any of QALs in the retinal space are convinced of what we think we want to do, have a look at clinicaltrials.gov. So you will see who are our PIs, so you can make up your own mind. And as I said, we're currently enrolling. And in a retinal vein occlusion, you're more aware than I am. What you can offer the patients with this occlusion is just the treatment of complications, right? So you don't remove a trigger. You'll have all this VEGF constantly producing and making new swelling, and patients with impaired vision, they will come back to you, right? So when they come back to you, they don't know that they possibly, even with anti-VEGFs, they will not regain their full visions. They don't know when they start treatment that some of them will have to come to you every other month for years to come, right? And someone mentioned here in the talk before, what do patients want? And I think it's very difficult to find a patient who actually wants to come to you for intravitreal injections if there is something else which has efficacy in patients' conditions. So we are aiming to change the standard of care. It is also in terms from the market. You know, the numbers in the market for RVO, they're quite impressive. It's not a very common disease, right? But the market is huge. This number is, of course, driven by anti-VEGFs and aging populations. And we think we have such a differentiated mode of action, differentiated product, that we could compete on this market. And the reason why I say this, and this is the only slide I actually think you should keep, in your memory, what is that we think that NXV can do with anti-VEGFs cannot do in RVO? And it's one thing that we know that it can affect the aggregation of erythrocytes. We also know that it can reduce the attachment to endothelium, and I will show you why mechanistically. It is known, it's been known for ages as a very on-site anti-thrombotic agent. It is a highly potent anti-inflammatory agent. If you go on a cardiovascular thing, it's just as potent as dexamethasone if you compare really apples to apples experimentally. And it's also, I think, the most important thing, it is an anti-apoptotic agent, which means that in the retina, if we deliver it on site, we can try to save retinal cells, and it's worthwhile fighting for every single cell in retina. And people always ask, does it have any effect of anti-VEGF? Well, it has been shown. Oh, I haven't shown you this one. But just to show you. So the only thing you should remember, if we try to address a completely new biology, we're looking upstream from everything from you looking complement, anti-VEGFs. We try to deliver an Annexin 5 to cover a lipid on the surface of the cell, which has been known to be aberrantly expressed in RVO, and Annexin 5 covers this lipid phosphatidylserine and stops a number of biologic reactions. I will not show you the data. Come and see us. We have a table just outside the lunch. I will show you the data. We have flyers, so you can be convinced that there is real rationale in RVO. I will not show you also anti-VEGFs. We have the data lying outside. I will show you. In a phase 1, as I said, it's safe and it's tolerable. So in the trial, which we do now, proof of concept, we really want to come back next time in OAS and show you if we actually could see anything in our patient population. It's a small study. It's ongoing. We should have a data sometime mid next year, and we would be so happy to share it with you next time. So please come and see us and talk to us. And it's been a pleasure being here. Thank you.